We're back, folks. More of this diving deep into this director here. Deep up in him.
All up
Stanley
in.
Kubrick. We're back. This time with his second to last film. His 1987. Wow, this is his second to last film.
Yeah.
There was like a 10-year gap then.
The last two movies are like 10-year gaps between them or even more. So.
Shit. Anyway, sorry, I digress there. Full Metal Jacket, directed by Stanley Kubrick, written by Stanley Kubrick, adapted from somebody's piece of work. The typical. I have seen this one before, like The Shining, and before when I watched it, I was like, yeah, fine, it was whatever. Then I watched it this time, and this is almost a perfect movie for me. Kubrick finally did it. I stepped away from this one after watching it, and I was like, holy shit, this actually is really good. Like, I think what made it better than the rest for me was it wasn't all about his directing. It was more character driven, and I appreciate that more. And it feels like his characters had more life to them, and his other movies, they just felt kind of cold. So
Fair point, yeah.
I think that's what brought me into this story and made me care about it more. And this is like it gets kind of heavy-handed in the end, you know.
Yeah.
But the anti-war aspect, this is one genre, if you will, that Kubrick actually just revisits, because most of his other movies are just different. Everything's different. But there's one like thread with a lot of his movies, and it's, anti-war, peace, all that good stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed this second watch through. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm a man. I'll admit I was wrong when I first rated it 2.5 stars.
Hey, nice.
I was tripping, but yeah, this was really, really good. So
Nice,
anyway,
man.
that's what I wanted to say. I wanted
glad.
to surprise you guys with that.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that experience. I can see what you mean, where this is kind of this feels like the least Kubrick movie almost to me, kind of. Not in a bad way, but just like you said, there's still great directing, but it is more just about the story, kind of.
It felt more passionate for me because it seemed like he cared about this story. He cared about these characters, and getting the one in particular, Modine, from point A to point B, his arc, and clearly Vincent D'Onofrio as well. But I just feel like, this was more so a passion project for Kubrick, and I felt his passion for the writing rather than his passion for the straight up just filmmaking.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I had the thought, after midway through this movie, I was like, man, this is maybe the first one, or just like while I was like, of Kubrick's, I was like amazed at his ability to like craft such a compelling narrative and character to follow. Well, and like carry the themes with all the characters around him too. Like, there's a lot of like those anti-war themes and just like human psychology, the duality of man, like all those things going forward. And it's like you see all of that in all of the characters, like a lot of the time. So it was like I had like that thought. It was pretty cool. Something special, I think, that maybe is not in some of the other ones that we've watched.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, Kubrick just makes better movies in general for any genre for me. So the fact that he makes like a war movie immediately makes that almost the best war movie, But this one, to me, like I read a little bit behind the scenes on this, and like they were finding the story a little bit along the way in this movie, which I think is maybe the way to make a movie if you could be Kubrick and just have like fucking 2 years to make a movie, obviously. But that's the dream. I think he was like figuring out how to end this main character's story, and he was at first, maybe it's in the book, maybe it's not, but he's just gets like shot, gunned down. It's like, oh fuck, he's dead. War, and then he realized like this character has to live with all this at the end. Yeah, I don't know. I think he just like he hit the right moments along the way. He didn't like dip and pander to like some of the other kind of bad war movies where it just like wants to show you this whole encompassing story of everything that this person deals with. It's more just like this guy, and he kind of changes in this situation. You see him change along the way here, and then you see him at the end with the most gripping moment where he's like having to like put someone out of their misery. If he is he the guy to do it, or whatever. And then it leaves you like, it doesn't leave you where most war movies would, but I think that's what makes it so good. Like I don't know, it was a good journey, even though it doesn't seem like the one you would take for a regular war movie.
It's definitely one of my favorite war movies, and I'm not a huge fan of war movies. So the fact that I was actually engaged most of the time, and I think it was just because you had those thoughts of like, you start off with these innocent people, and you just see the slow corruption, I guess you could say, that war has, or just the idea of leading up to that point. You know, you kind of come in as innocent or pure, and then you slowly get corrupt. I mean, D'Onofrio's character is a
Representation.
perfect example of that. You know, he's purity in its purest form. You know, a simple man, and he gets into the military wanting to maybe make a difference. Maybe his parents put him there, but you know, it corrupted him.
Just can't handle it.
That's what happened, right?
Mm-hmm. They said everybody breaks after a certain point or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And Pyle that was his point. What a shocking moment, though. Holy shit, man! Like his turn. I mean, obviously D'Onofrio. I think this was like his breakout role, and I can see why, because he had so much spirit. He carried so much of that first half, like
chilling too. Like when in that scene. And that
definitely.
I was like, dude, this guy's creeping me out. Like this is, ugh. Yeah, I respect it though. Like I think that's like just one thing that of Kubrick is like I just respect anyone who is like fight the power, man. So,
well, like you said, he came back to this genre because he had clearly had something else to say, you know, like maybe it was specifically Vietnam that kind of woke him up a little bit, or maybe it was like Past the Glory didn't scratch the itch he had, you know, like, but like he came back to this one because he had a story or like a concept or a message. So like, and you can feel it in this one, you know, for me.
Definitely.
Yeah. I was like comparing it to, because like you brought up like war movie, not your typical war movie, but like Band of Brothers I really enjoyed. I mean, I was like thinking of Saving Private Ryan. I was like, a lot of war movies typically are like, they're like almost like in memoriam, you know, like reverent and like you're like, these are the horrors of war, and this is like the shit that happened. This is the real shit, and like, and this one gives that to you, but also has so much more to say, like just about like humanity and man, and like why war is like this horrible aspect of it all. Like it's like the darkest recesses of man that we've fallen into, that we just casually do. You know, like
it's so casual.
Yeah.
And like the one guy, Mother Animal or whatever, Animal Mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with all the ammo and decked out. Yeah.
He's like a savage, but they're like, he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Yeah. But like, this is what's brought out in him being out here in combat and stuff. So
beast.
Yeah. It's like his helmet says, you know, born to kill, because obviously, in my opinion, I think, you know, people are just born naturally evil.
Just animals.
Right. And you're
prey and predator, right?
You want to have peace, but you still have that instinct, that killer instinct of, you know, I was made to do this in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
But
just nature, right? Just like Darwinism, the struggle.
I gotta say though, R. Lee Emery may be the best piece of casting in any movie ever. Like just straight up, he's the general, the drill instructor. Oh my god, dude! I read behind the scenes that he basically was just improvising all the shit he was saying. Like that's insane, awesome. Dude.
You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human fucking beings. You are nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. Bullshit. It looks to me like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress. Holy dog shit. Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, private cowboy. And you don't much look like a steer to me, so that kind of narrows it down. Do you suck dicks?
Sir, no, sir.
Are you a Peter Puffer?
Sir, no, sir.
I'll bet you're the kind of guy that would fuck a person in the ass and not even have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around. I'll be watching you.
There's so many lines and like straight up like memes from this. I was like, did this movie create culture? Like,
oh, me love you long time.
Yeah.
You're so honey.
I was like, dude, is everything from this movie? Like, holy shit.
I noticed that too. I was like, holy shit, this is where this was born.
Yeah.
What's your major malfunction?
Yeah.
You're so ugly, you could be a modern day art piece. I mean, Jesus Christ.
So much. But man, that dude just, I mean, he was in the military, which shows, but I read behind the scenes that he was getting pelted by tennis balls and like oranges or some shit while he was just like spewing expletives in his audition tape for Kubrick, and Kubrick was so impressed that he just like hired him right there. He's like, yeah.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
I mean that first half is explosive to me. Like the characters, D'Onofrio, the drill instructor. I mean, it's so fun. It was like the funniest Kubrick moments, I thought. And then the second half is not that, but
Right.
so I mean,
Good juxtaposition there for you.
yeah,
It's definitely interesting. The first half is definitely the one that everyone remembers, for obvious reasons. And for this watch through, because I remember the first half pretty well when I first watched it, and but this watch through, I think the second half is what really I didn't appreciate it so much the first time, but I really appreciate what it was built on, and what it accomplished there.
Yeah.
So, and the full circle comment of how can you kill women and children, and then he goes and does exactly that in one bullet, so
you just gotta not lead him as much, right?
Yeah.
There's some great dialogue in this movie too. I mean, the first half, obviously, like we said, but just straight up in the second half too. I mean, there's great moments in this movie, just scattered everywhere.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
And yeah, I thought too, like this movie in the second half, like the way it climaxes with like them taking the sniper. It like ended on the most compelling scene, which I thought was a good thing for it to do, where you kind of feel the geography now of, because a lot of war movies you don't really feel like what's happening either. You kind of just feel gunshot, like oh shit. This one is like you got to get to that building and then you're gonna go around the corner and then the sniper's shooting somewhere over. Like I could feel the whole like last 25 minutes of like what the plan was, and with like Cowboy taking the orders and then getting taken down halfway. So it's like the leadership changes, and then like fucking guns blazing, dude. That guy stole the show in the second half. But is that the animal guy? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Animal Mother.
That guy steals the show for sure. But the way that like they get into the sniper, and then obviously ending on that huge emotional moment for Matthew Modine. That was like, and then they have the one scene after where they're singing Mickey Mouse to just show it, just to give you that little song at the end to send you away.
Yeah.
But he ended at the high, and I think Kubrick knows that. Like with Barry Lyndon, he ends at the high because he wants to leave you feeling like good, like, or that the movie was good, like, so it was good here too, I thought.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice until you mentioned it, but yeah, the geography really made a huge difference, especially in that final like sequence, and like the tracking low angle shot. I like to think he took that from Sam Raimi and made it. It's the Evil Dead, but the tracking shot through the thing, and then you get to that wall, and as you see that opening, I'm like, oh no, someone's gonna get shot through that. Why is it he's crouching, and then Cowboy gets fucked up because you know exactly where you're at.
Right, for sure, yeah. And it starts off too with one of the most tension-filled moments for me was, I think it's 8 Ball. Yeah. He's the first guy to go and like see what's up, and that you just like sit back, the camera just sits back with everyone else while you watch 8 Ball, like, and you're just like ready for him to get shot, blown up. Like, I mean, at least me, I was like so on the edge of like what was gonna happen to that guy, and then it like that's just the first step. So that's a great end for me.
Feels like he leaves you at a place where it's like he said everything, and like to say any more would like defeat the point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like some cool zooms. Like there was like when 8 Ball's out there, it's like so wide, and like I was just able to make him out, and then that dynamic zoom in through the slow mo.
Dude, I like the zooms, man. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty cool.
They're like effective in different ways.
Yeah, I mean they just give you so. I mean, he has whatever lens he's using is fucking godly. It's so like the way it can just like pull so far back and keep the frame like in focus all like hell yeah. But I mean like it's just so you can just like add so many elements when you're pulling back, like just reveal so much. I kind of like expected to not like this one. I was like, okay, here another war one, maybe this will be the weak one. Here we go, Kubrick. I'm ready for the weak one. Every time I'm never. It never happens. Yeah, it never happens for me. So we'll see with Eyes Wide Shut. But this one, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot more than. I don't know. This ranking is going to be so hard for me. Like.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Be
curious
tough.
about because you guys have all his movies ranked
Like,
so
oh,
high.
That's one line. I'm just like,
I guess I have like the same problem, but mine are ranked really low. So as I'm trying to adjust my list, I'm like,
It's
which one
like,
do
which
I
one's
like more?
worse? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been floating on this movie all week though because I watched it, I think Monday.
Me too.
I don't know.
I had it
I'm,
at 5.
Yeah,
I had it before, and I rewatched it, and I put it down to 4.5. But it's there. Like I had it at 5. It could easily just be there.
yeah, yeah. I'm struggling with is it a perfect movie?
Yeah.
It's not really. So I'm at like a 4.5 right now, personally, just because
Yeah.
I don't know. I found so much enjoyment out of it, and I'm glad I did because I was starting to get tired of coming on here and just being like, Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Now
I
you
wanna
got to
feel
go
what you guys
back
are
and
feeling.
you have one little moment with Kubrick that brings you in for all his movies, and maybe 10 years from now you'll have it for the rest of them. This was just the
Maybe.
one that opened the door, but
Dip your foot into the water.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give this one like 4.5.
Man, I'm glad we like hit. We were on the underside of the iceberg, you know, like the submerged side. That's you see 90% of, and now we hit that 10%. That's the 10% that Alex likes. So I'm glad we found that 10%.
It only took his
Kubrick's.
second to last movie to finally get me back on board.
Yep. Yep. See how we close it out next week then, yeah? Eyes wide
Yeah.
shut.
Yeah, man. I'm
Tom
excited.
Cruise, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. This has to be his worst one. This has got to be.
I don't know. This movie almost had Tom Cruise out of Scientology. So I mean, he was this close.
Damn it.
Converted.
And then they killed Kubrick.
Oh my God.
Join us next week, guys, for our last dive on Kubrick.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah. And stick around after for some more directors' deep dives.
Yeah, see who we'll pick next. I'm sure you guys will like him. So,
I think so.
all right. See you later, guys.
Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Forever let us hold our banner high, 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 high. Boys and girls from far and near, you're welcome as can be. MICKEY, MOUSE.